Listen.
Yeah. Yes, God. Oh. Get that out of there.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning.
All the in-betweens.
That's
All
sort of
right.
my version of the music that was happening throughout the movie there.
I see where you're going here.
No, you don't. Madness,
Maybe
madness, people, madness. It's a Thursday. It's 2024. I am so tired. They took blood from me, but I am here with you today with Bleecker because this is the Fresh Popcorn and Matinee Wishes movie podcast. I wanted to start this off disturbed because some people were disturbed by the movie. They shouldn't have been, to be honest, that we're going to be talking about today.
Mhm.
However, I get where you may have came from because at the first couple of minutes of the movie, when the man started blowing bubbles of his own bodily juice, yes, strange. We are also going to be using delicate language today because YouTube's term of services have certainly changed a bit. So you may not notice links and stuff like that. They'll be posted as usual because channels are getting la 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 because of that. Yes, it's weird, it's strange. I saw something
Oh
today. It's
man,
scary.
now I'm worried I'm gonna say something. You should have warned me. You know I
Well,
just run at the mouth.
that's the warning. Welcome to the show. That's the word. No, I'm just playing, but no, at the same time.
Is this like Pee-wee's secret word where if I say it we just instantly get dead?
That's the word. Yeah, well, that's the word. But no, that's the word. But yeah,
Can we try that one more time? One more.
that's the word. No, wait a minute. That was Bobcat. Hold on. You made me go Bobcat, Bleecker. You can't do that to me because that turns into Bobcat and it has to come back. And that was little Carol Channing. Now we were really going out the realms. This is word. No, it's still Fred Burger. It's still Fred Burger. Hello, Judge.
Cherry.
I gotta go potty. Sorry, my childhood is throwing up right now. We're talking about Poor Things, a movie currently right now in award season that is doing very well. I had the pleasure of seeing it this past week, and I know Bleecker has seen it too. We're going to break it down for you today. There will be a little bit of spoilers in reference to the things that we're talking about. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to wait on this one. Or if you feel like being spoiled, but you still want to go see the movie, by all means stay here. Now, the movie is very graphic, and we're going to get our social medias and stuff out the way, and I will drop my disclaimer. But for particular scenes, I'm going to use not with consent will be things that are said like that instead of it just being the direct word of what's happening here, not with consent. Yeah, non-consensual. That was a lot of stuff that was happening.
That would make sense. Yeah.
I think that's the one that I'm worried about the most that we could use for that because everything else seems fair game. But do I have screenshots? Who you talking to? Anywho, let's go ahead and get to this and play with live. Then I'm looking at the live chat. Bleecker, tell these people where they can find you at for this wonderful live taping podcast.
Listen, I've decided that I'm gonna stick with like the Twitter. I'm not calling it the other name. It's Twitter, and you can find me at It's Bleecker XOX on Twitter. If you have a Letterboxd, go get a Letterboxd. It's amazing. You can find me at It's Bleecker. But the FMO is in my little name down here, though.
I feel like you are the reason why I see so much letterbox stuff on my Twitter, Twitter glitch feed right now. So thank you for that. Like, I don't know why, but I mean, it's all over my
Good.
The top 10 lists and everything are like for multiple categories. Like,
I found so many different movies I didn't think I would have found if I didn't follow Letterboxd and do all that nonsense.
You know, I was a Rotten Tomatoes kind of gal, And then, under the Flickster name for the girls that don't remember, but yeah. And then all of a sudden they were talking about reviews that were not true. And I'm like, well, what is there to believe? Because I submit those reviews. When my name goes up there and I say, this is a piece of hot garbage, that was me that said that to you, Tyler Perry. No, I'm just playing. But yes, I never said that about any of his movies to his face. Listen, it's at Maddie Rants everywhere except for whatever those words we want to use for that page, which is the Maddie Rants. You already know we can find the Linktree links as well as, of course, reactions on Patreon. I have a full week ahead of me.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Tonight is Candace's Drag Race. The review is tomorrow on top of Drag Race. That reaction's tomorrow. Review Saturday. On top of Espana's cast, Meet the Queens is dropping in like 20 hours from now. So I will be doing that Monday. Do not ask me about it Saturday nor Sunday. Sunday, because UK versus the World 2 is dropping their cast this Saturday. Yes, this is how this is all going down. Like stack on stack on stack. It's like, fuck, what time is it? We're still there. Legos, blocks. It's like Roblox, but
You almost did it to yourself.
Yeah.
It wasn't even me.
I know.
You knew ahead of time.
I'm the worst person. I am my worst enemy. But it's also UK versus the World 2 is doing their cast announcement Saturday. So that means Sunday morning, I'm getting up a little bit early with coffee and libations to do a recap of that before I do a panel where Gabby with an Eye is coming back. Jamar and C. Diggy are going to be there. I'm looking for my next spot. I actually think I may know who it is. I'm going to call up there. If I'm keeping it at 4, it'll work. Whew. Yes, congratulations. You used the litter box, and I have 2 kids. So
I was just about to say, you might notice I'm in new surroundings. I'm in a new place. There are dogs behind the door. So every once in a while, you might hear in the distance some works.
Shout out to the new residential space in a red state.
I'm back in Texas, everybody.
Back in Texas.
So fun.
But listen, you are in a city that that is the only art house city that we can kind of claim out here for it, being totally weird. Like you're in a good spot. Like
you know what? The way I see it is I've lived in Houston, I lived in Austin, and I've never had to live in Dallas.
And that is a blessing. I'm not going to say that because I have lived in Dallas before and it was lovely. And who I was staying with was even lovelier. But I also was still confused every time I go to Dallas because that's the Houston in me. So no shade to Dallasians. Dallasians? Delicians. Delicians.
Is it Delician?
It's not, but I like it. If I stayed out there, I'd be a Delician.
What? Now I have to look it up.
What if it's a Dallas?
What is the plural of Dallas?
A Dallas Saxon. Dallas Saxons. I love it. Dallas Saxons. Dallas Sassoon. Sorry.
And no one has a name for them. Oh man.
Well, when that
poor Dallas. Oh my god.
Big pizza pie, that's some more.
Yeah, no. I don't see nothing.
I've made a name.
Oh, here we go. Officially, it's Dallasite. Dallasite. Dallasite.
Because like socialite. Okay.
Yeah. Dallasite.
Houston's like Houstonian. And we're Houstonians out
because
here.
It ends in an N, and because it ends in an S, it's usually
a Dallasite. That sounds like a bug.
For anybody who wants to know,
I like Delicians. That's the way to go.
Find your city and figure out what kind of citizen you are. There's the list.
I'm here for it. One day we have to do a pod where we just talk about the names of different people in different cities and then try to figure out if they actually sound great or if we can improve on the names that they gave themselves. But
we can play a game show where we just make up names for it and then find the real name.
Right. Because like
who was closest?
They're like, is it Miamians or is it like Miamis? Like that would be
Miamins.
Miami.
Miamins.
It sounds like you wanted to order like fish and you ended up with something else completely different. They didn't even want to ask you what you
The
ordered.
southern in me just jumped the fuck.
Miamins.
I said Miamins.
All right. So you see where this is gonna go. It's not a serious podcast. Leave your reservation.
Anyways, let's talk about this Oscar potential.
Because it is like this was described as a black comedy through AMC's movie app, which I would like to tell you, yes, but I would not even put that as the top thing about the movie. Like, honestly, there were other moments I was more focused and concerned on. I would have put surrealism, if anything, at the top list, or some sort of like bio fantasy movie, because it was very fantastical. It really
feel
was.
like it's like it's in a way like a dystopian fantasy.
Because while they kept saying they were in like, oh, Paris, this and the other, I'm like, I don't know where that's at. I don't know what this looks like. This looks, I would have said Whoville, but it, in different stages, especially with how colorful it was. But hey, I'm going to put this up because I'm going to say some shit. So guess what? And I haven't used this one in a long time. Claps. Disclaimer, look at me. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and content's not intended to disparage any religion, race, company, individual, gender, or snacks. All opinions expressed by program participants so their personal views and do not reflect the opinions of all humans, AIs, or extraterrestrials. Do not send hate to any of the shows or actors, writers, producers, or individuals mentioned in this program. And if you feel tense after watching this podcast, take a deep breath. Watch a puppy video. Hug a cat. I wouldn't hug a cat without consent.
And now that you have a cat, huh?
2 of them. And one of them. So check it out. Mina now lets me pick her up. It took a couple of times, a couple of tries. We have gotten into the stage of I trust you in your arms. I may not want to be here the whole day, but if I curl her towards me like a baby, she goes, okay, I'm fine. I'm like, yes, you must deal. You are all held like children.
You're starting to win.
I'm telling you.
Mine is somewhere in here. She may or may not come out of hiding.
Okay. Mine are both on the bed asleep right now, and we're going to keep it that way because last night it was Celebrity Deathmatch. Okay. It was a Tuxedo Mask versus Sailor Venus, and I didn't know what was about to happen.
Okay? A likely thing to happen, to be honest.
Oh, my God. It probably will happen again, and I'm going to prepare myself. But yes, they got into a little fight, a skirmish. Mina was not messing with Mamu for the rest of the night, even though she was the one that started it. And I know because Mamu was looking like, why is she mad at me? Why is she mad at me? Every time she hissed at him, he's like, oh, he does not like being hissed at. He's like, I don't like that. So I had to do a smell check with both of them hand to hand. I'm like, nudge you with the same hand, exchange back and forth. An hour later, they're back together and they're sleeping again. And I'm like, wow, y'all woke me up at 2:30 for this.
It was just a sibling fight.
Man, when one cat's tail is so fluffy, it wakes me out of my sleep because I can hear ow, and I'm like, oh, what is that? I mean, woke me up. I said, oh, what is that noise?
You learn the difference, right? To everybody else, it sounds the same, but you learn the difference
because their play fighting is like, it sounds like they're talking to each other versus that. Hey, big boy, your mama popped up. That's not your food. That's not your food. Sweetie, that's not your food. There go your food right over here. That's the baby's food. She's not an adult. Okay, you're just gonna go ahead and eat it. Just go ahead. I give up. Because she eats his food. He eats her food. Whatever.
As long as they both get fed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's fat and happy, and she's getting there. We gained a pound the other day, so shout out to Mina because she was at 4 pounds and 14, whatever the numbers they were using, and so I got her to 5 pounds because baby girl was chowing. I was here for it. Let's get into poor things, everybody. Sorry to talk about our personal lives. We're nobodies. No ones. I'm just kidding. We're people. But we also have a deep appreciation for film, and a lot of y'all know that through our other shows where we discuss multiple pictures. We've talked about some of Yorgos's films before. Light conversations. I am going to bring up one in particular before we start this up. You know which one.
So good, though.
You know which one.
So good, though.
So I've realized where I saw that movie on a plane. I did.
You watched Killing of the Sacred Deer on a
No, I
plane?
watched Killing of a Sacred Deer at this apartment here because you
Oh.
told me about that. We did a whole episode about the A24 films, right? The favorite,
Oh, yeah.
that's the one I saw on the plane here.
Oh, that's a hard one to watch next to people.
So I was I was kind
Like
of like,
strangers.
I kept doing this. What? Like I kept
And you're
gasping and
like,
looking at
"Oh
folks
my
like
god, is that Emma Stone's titty?"
I
Like, what?
can't. I wanted to react so much to this because of how Emma Stone was fucking with them, but also because of the main actress who was the queen or whatever. I forget the actress's name, Rachel, not Rachel, because Rachel's over here, but Miss Mama was eating
Olivia
me alive.
Colman?
Yes, Olivia.
Oscar
Bravo.
deserved. Oscar well fucking deserved.
Bravo. Because when I
Well
tell
fucking
you the anxiety she was giving me, the amount of I kept laughing at certain parts with her when things were not going her way, her pouting was the supreme of pouts.
She's so stressful.
She's like, "What are you? So you're making this up? Are you trying to say that I don't know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm like the way she was rounding everything around back to the same question again. It's like, oh my god, I fucking loved her though. But I thought it was a great movie. I'm familiar with his work. You said he also did Killing of a Sacred Deer.
It's The Lobster, Killing the Sacred Deer, The Favorite, and then Poor Things, and then the next 2 or 3 he's got coming in are also with Emma Stone.
It has to
That's
be.
how
That
much he loves
seems to
her.
be his muse, and
Mhm.
I mean, she's benefiting from it since she clearly knows the vibes.
Like,
Um, It's interesting that that wanted to disappear on me here, and that's just StreamYard streaming. But I never knew his name, but I was familiar with his work. Like every trailer that would come out for his films, I'm like, okay, I know who this is. Nicole Kidman or Emma Stone is going to be in this.
mhm. Oh, The Beguiled is another one.
Oh,
I'm
I've
pretty
seen that
sure.
one too. Listen,
Colin Farrell. So he look his other muse, his male muse. His male muse.
lots of chalk. Listen, I'm here for it. Not really, but at the same time, I am because these actors are amazing. But let's move into what Poor Things.
Somebody asked if this was one of his top 3, and yes, it goes Poor Things, The Favorite, and then Killing of a Sacred Deer for me.
I would agree with Bleeker's entire statement because I was moved by the Killing of a Sacred Deer. I was also completely that was one of the most intense experiences watching a movie in my entire life. And the spin around the couch scene, I will never get out of my mind. That was disturbing.
Mhm.
And it was my introduction to Old Boy that's in Saltburn. So, like, yeah.
My baby.
The very weird, strange, sociopath looking kind of
Very
hot
Kyogen.
guy. Yeah,
Mhm.
very, very that, right? So it's interesting how I'm showing this picture as the first thing because this is literally the first frame in the movie is this
Very
moment
true.
here. And I knew in my mind who that was up there, but I also want y'all to check out this sky. Okay. This is going to be a beautiful theme throughout the film when it comes to the color story that is taking place, especially by scene and location. And I watched this man and I said to myself, this director, I like this. Like, I like
He
him.
thinks of every inch of the frame every single time. He
There
thinks about the
is,
color composition, the positioning, the fashion, the mood, the energy, the hair. He factors all of it in. And
and
set pieces he builds, everything.
it all made sense too, because it doesn't really give you an idea of what year this is in the world. It's almost like you say, dystopian fantasy of us falling into what this could be, but really is it? Because you would think you almost feel a little steampunkish.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, steampunk is where I was going, especially with how the mad scientist sort of story, how everyone was dressing in this very Sherlock Holmes-esque type of attire, very high shoulder pads, gowns were being worn, but it was
Yet
very
you
much
never figure out the year. No,
Mhm.
you never figure out the year, the time period. For all you know, this is some, like, future dystopia, or this is the super, super past with new embellishments. Like, you
Exactly.
never figure it out. And, like, this oh my god, this gave me such Metropolis vibes. Oh
Oh,
my
we do love
god.
reckless. I'm glad I've been able to say I've seen that movie. So the thing about this that was interesting for me, and again, this is spoiler heavy, so if you don't want to hear it,
Yeah, if you don't want spoilers for this movie, retreat
so
now
the
because we will
beginning,
be spoiling bits of it, not
the,
all
be-
of it.
not all of it, but the beginning of the movie has this woman throw herself from a bridge, and we are left thinking of just that, and then it fades into us in black and white witnessing this woman acting like a child, and it is a little strange. Because Bleeker, I was like, I don't know if I'm
She's
gonna be able
just
to sit there with her.
toddling and waddling around, not able to talk, just making noises, like very like bah bah bah
Doesn't
bah.
know how to walk correctly just yet. Everything is brand new movements, and Emma Stone basically played a 1 to 2 year old child in a sense in her own body. So we're not really privy to what's going on just yet until we further move on. Once we find this other scientist guy who is going to be boyfriend number one, husband number one, really. Fiance number one, actually, actually, who is enamored with the not enamored, but more so respects the doctor's work because he goes to a school where they show these open surgeries. He ends up coming to the house. He finds Emma Stone's character, Bella, and is very much intrigued by her and wants to be a part of this equation. That's when we find out through his snooping that the person from the bridge was Bella. Well, not Bella per se. Well, let's get to it. Bella jumped off that bridge, landed, they grabbed her. Child, she was pregnant. Now that was the gag. It was like, oh, the baby was still alive, but she was no longer able to live. So they were trying to save the baby.
Baby's brain.
But right, well, that's the thing. Instead of just saving the baby, he's like, we'll just take the baby's brain and put it into her head because her brain was
Because
dead
he's
too
a
long.
scientist.
Yeah,
He's an experimental scientist. The whole thing is like he tests the limits of everything. Like surrounding the house, you see all these little Frankenstein monsters of like a
there's
pig
a
with a
duck
chicken head or
with
a duck with a
a
dog
bulldog
face.
body. That was the strangest thing. The chicken with the dog body was also really odd too. It kind of threw you off because it reminded me of Frankenweenie, that stop motion movie, as well as, of course, you think of Frankenstein, this, that, the other. It's very much paying homage to the, mad scientist moment here. But
So we're in this world that doesn't really have ethics, right?
this logic is
The whole thing is we have to think of the context of this because that's a part of what people forget when they watch this movie is we are in a world where ethics is very much up in the air. People know that there are some, others are just oblivious to it, some just flat out ignore it. A lot of it is just very like what if society just kind of like
You're
floated
like on
around and
one side of things. It's like everybody had
Mhm.
their own choices, but nothing lied in the middle because when you were be in the middle, then you can pull things together. There's very much a big separation of who is who and what is what in society and how people act. But at the same time, like Bleeker is saying, ethics, because, as long as you're in the top, you're not going to care about what's going on in the bottom, et cetera, et cetera. Like very much that. But I think William Defoe, oh my God, William Defoe, I'm going to get to you.
Willem.
You say Willem, I say William.
He quite literally says Willem.
I know. I'm just saying. I fucked up, but I'm gonna keep my fuck up. William
Correct him every time on this and every time.
Wilhelmina Defoe.
Willem's beat down indeed.
Scott Timothy here. Real talk. No, listen. Jigsaw Face was killing this movie. Honestly, Willem Defoe W over here. Defoe W.
Don't you bang me.
I begged you. Wait a minute. Okay, listen. Eyebrow check. I can't know, but William Defoe. I did it again. Whatever. W Defoe. W D. There we go. There we go. WD. WD.
So anyways, Godwin.
That's better. Let's just do that. Godwin.
Who goes by God.
Yes, but
But
it's
it's
not
like
God.
it doesn't
It is.
mean God at all because they don't have God there.
but he created a lot of things, so that's why he technically says this. But there is a moment when they talk about that word with God, and he doesn't take it that way. He's like,
Mhm.
I don't apply that to me. I just create things. So if I'm God to them, then oh well. But I'm not God. So I was like, oh, a lot of the logic was great in this movie. He
Mhm.
has a lot of his organs have been removed because his dad was also a previous scientist. So you will see these scenes where that's pretty much all of his organs. Like as you can tell, just look at the shape of this. This is what the liver right here, right?
That's
Like
how he eats. It's
so he's
insane.
eating food, and all of a sudden it's so random, and they make sure it's always
But the
quiet when
way
it happens.
but the way that he does it, like, the noise he makes where he just leans back and makes that noise.
Oh, and then this bubble of gas and like bodily fluids is up and it just pops. And then it's silent every time. There's no music, so it just is so uncomfortable. Every single they did it like 4 times in the movie. I was like, please stop doing that. Like,
By the
ugh.
way, you can only see this in theaters right now. The UK, you'll get it tomorrow. I don't know if it's limited or not. I know somebody asked if you could stream it, but
That
not yet,
would be
no.
lucky.
I
Oh, the
think
UK is
once
getting their major release.
yeah.
Really? Just
So I think once
damn.
the UK gets their release for a little bit, they'll finally release it on streaming, so probably in the next month.
If I were to guess what streaming app it's going to be on, it would probably be Max because a lot of his work is on there currently. Like well, pretty much the entire library of a lot of his movies are on there. Or Showtime is another one that I know always does it, which means Paramount Plus would have it. I don't know what Poor Things will
It's
be on.
gonna probably go to HBO Max and Amazon.
Maybe Hulu because it's Fox Searchlight. And Hulu, Fox, Disney, da 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 da.
True, true.
Possible. You just have a streaming service available. Okay, kids.
Yeah, then they'll decide because we now have cable plus, we don't have streaming.
I'm still paying for cable and
I know,
streaming. But that's the life of a YouTuber because I have to know what's on the television.
true.
I have to know.
Oh, I just love that he treated her like a daughter. Please. Please. I can't, like, I
Like we talked about, the beginning of the movie was in black and white, and it was sort of to show her adolescence and her not knowing what the world was or what was ahead of her, which was very interesting. I didn't get that at first because I was like, "Oh, this is taking us a long time to get here." But at a point, she meets Mark Ruffalo's character, but she's already developed a little sense of this is not Mark Ruffalo. Please forgive me, young sir. I'm trying to get
Rami Yosef.
Rami, there we go. I like
Rami
him in that
Yosef.
one show on Hulu. What is it
Rami.
called? Look
Isn't
how
it called
hard that
Rami?
was for me. I know. Look how hard that was for me. I saw the first 2 seasons. The moment his mom went to be an Uber driver and get independence, I
What's
felt
that
that.
name again?
I've. It's like it's Rami. How creative! No, I'm just
Mark
like.
Ruffalo
Did you see
is
that one show
funny.
with Bill Cosby? What was it called again? I'm sorry.
Ah!
I don't remember. There's a show with Steve Harvey. What's it called again? Bernie Mac did a show, Matthew. Do you remember what it was called? Ellen DeGeneres had a show. Do you got the name of it? I swear to God. I told y'all I'm on a time loop here. I went to the dentist and the doctor today at the same time. They cleaned my teeth and pulled blood. I'm clearly delirious after everything. It's okay. Sorry. I'm on my tip today.
You
Bleecker.
know what? I think you're doing amazing, sweetie.
That is what my therapist will tell me right before I hang up the phone. And I can't. Oh, I can't.
Mark
I'm sorry.
Ruffalo, anyways, is the funniest he's ever been in this movie. He
He
is
kind of
hysterical.
pulled me in on a lot of scenes because his frustration was palpable. And I very much enjoyed it every time because at this point, Mark Ruffalo enters the scene because Rami's character very much loves Bella, but it was kind of creepy because she still was very much a child in her brain. So it felt like he was taking advantage of this moment, which will be a theme throughout this movie with men taking advantage of Bella because they're so intrigued by her whimsy and not knowing her naive, being naive to things. So he tried to take advantage of that because she had never had, a big O before. She had never had been taken to that spot. And she discovered this by herself in this one scene that they pictured her feet for 15 fucking minutes. It wasn't
It was
15
not
minutes.
50.
5 for sure.
It was
5 for
literally
sure.
3. I looked it up. It's literally 2.5 minutes.
It's the longest 2.5 minutes of seeing somebody's feet in my entire life. And not even like a close shot too, like a very
So what
far
Maddie's
away angle.
saying is he's uncomfortable with the female orgasm.
That's a
Wow.
lie. That's a lie. I literally just sat through somebody like having the entire red tide
Were
in
you
their
gonna
mouth
give
for a
them
movie.
free feed?
Are you joking?
I was like, oh my, you leaned back.
Listen,
Don't.
this is the whole
Wait, take your
scene.
screenshots. Take your screenshots now. Take them.
This is the
Take them.
whole scene. It's just like this. And that's all you see her do. There's no noise. There's nothing. Then they get a close-up of her face. And I'm like, oh, now I know what's happening. And she's, and I'm like, okay. And then what's really terrible is after she discovers her fingers can do the God's work, go downstairs.
Okay, the question already came up, and I knew it was going to because we have to address it immediately. Do you see the question?
Oh God. How old is she technically at this point with her baby brain?
So here's the thing. She's an experiment. She's Frankenstein's monster. She's technically not a baby. What happens when you do brain surgery on a patient? They have to relearn things in the sector of the brain that you do something to.
So he just gave the baby's
the
brain
life force
to her, which is not technically the person that was before, but in the vessel of the person that used to be,
So she's progressing rapidly. Technically,
Correct.
she is a grown woman the entirety of the film. She's just relearning things.
American Dad.
You aren't going to call somebody who has a developmental delay not a grown-up. Because they are. They're still a grown-up. You may have to like walk them through things or find comfortability for it, but that's a part of like the learning process on all things.
And that was kind of the problem.
So it's not like it's a baby doing sex.
No, it was
not.
just the men would take advantage of that because they knew it was a grown
They knew she wasn't
woman,
mentally,
but mentally not up here. So it's like, oh, this drives me wild. You won't talk back to me. This guy is very much where that was going. He was a philanthropist. Right. He had money, a little bit of it here and there, and he was using this moment because I guess he was working with Willem Dafoe's character towards like I forgot what they were signing. I forget.
He was trying to get to the marriage license, and he's the lawyer that was trying to do the dowry and all that stuff.
And so that threw me off. That he's the lawyer trying to do the dowry for the marriage that was being set up, and then ended up taking the spot from old boy because he's like, well, you haven't lived yet, and you don't want to be with that guy. That guy, are you for real? You haven't seen a real good time. And then she is like, oh, I like big O's. I want to have big O's all the time. So
but the thing is, that's not the thing. She doesn't know that it's a big O. She doesn't know that it's a sexual thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She
even says it in the movie. She said, it's happy. I'm happy. That's all that matters. And it's just, that's the same thing as like, it's like, so I'm trying to, this is going to sound weird saying it, but like, when children are like discovering their fingers and their toes and all that stuff, and they're like putting their feet in their mouths and they do other things as well. It's just not widely talked about. So like, that's all a part of figuring out your body. Even as an adult, you're still doing things like that. You know what I mean? You're still checking out your body and different things that have changed about it. So it's kind of approached in that way instead of like, it's just explicit. Like, it's not explicit. It's all about experimentation and learning. She had a big O, but she just associated it with happiness.
He promised her lots of happiness. At the same time, there was a point when they took her out the other group, and it was very much, she saw a little bit of the world and was like, oh, this is interesting. What about the city? Because we just went out here. So what about out there? What I can see from these windows? He promised that to her, and that intrigued her. So she made her God, say, I can go, let me go. And he did. And what was interesting, Bleeker, is after that, It did go to a scene of
Technically, he didn't, though. He did and
well,
he didn't.
he did, but he had to do it his way for it to happen because he kind of said yeah, but he was like, I'm not going to be able to, so he kind of himself and then
Well,
passed out.
so, like, he left her some money and
So did in
in the
her little
lining of her
coat.
coat. Mhm.
Yeah, so
And
did in
he
her
knew
coat.
that she would be smart enough to know what to do with it, and
And
if
you
she
saw she
wasn't, she
was too.
wasn't.
That was kind of a gag.
So,
That was a gag. Like she pulled out the right time, like at the right time too. I was like, oh my god, that was actually perfect. She got to see him for who he was right before she pulled out. Okay, it's my bad. Listen, she had a lot of sex. The man was promising happiness. She had a lot of happiness. I know a lot of people in that movie, they were like, whoa, you've never seen the Hulk smash, Spider Gwen. I'm kidding, not Spider Gwen. Oh, Gwen Stacy. I'm sorry, that was a really bad. They did you so dirty, Emma Stone, in that movie.
but she should have been Spider-Gwen, though.
I hated that scene. It made me scream when I saw it, but I also was like, wow, how terrible. Like children are in this theater. Like that lady is dead. Like, you know what I mean? But
The fact that the web simulates a hand motion literally guts me and the fact that her last words weren't like "Help, Spider-Man," she said "Help, Peter."
Lord. And then we had Zendaya do that in the other movie, and we all screamed in that movie theater. We all
Redemption.
screamed. Like, Andrew, don't come back to this series ever again. That was what happened right
No,
there. Okay?
literally, I really hope he never does.
Trauma. Sorry, when I see Emma Stone, I think of that super bad. And there's another movie I used to watch with her. Religion. It was Easy A. I think it's Easy A.
I love Easy A. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
she's come a long way. What I liked about this part here, Bleecker, was the fact that the color story hit. It's because she was discovering things and everything.
Now you're in yellow.
Right. But also notice that her clothes updated from a baby doll big dress into like little shorts. And she still has her sleeves because it still gives where she comes from. But there's a sense of wonder. Something really cute about it. She walked. Stones. Yo, the scene.
Her learning how to. I love it though. I love it so much.
When she heard the lady singing and at the same time saw something violent happened, and it was that emotional moment for her, and she wanted to come back and talk to Mark Ruffalo's character about it, and he only wanted to like just sleep with her, and it was that kind of and I said, she's starting to pick things up a little bit because she was raised with logic, not emotion.
Right, and plus they're trapped on this boat. She has no way of leaving. She has nothing.
We're not at the boat yet.
So pixelated. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're almost. This is my way of telling everybody, if you're seeing this photo and it looks the way that it looks, your TV screens have static. You should be watching this. We haven't hit the boat yet. We're still here because the boat came after this.
No, I know. It's just like she feels trapped no matter what. She's just trying to explore the world, and each obstacle she comes to, it's like, oh, I can't do things here in this city now. Oh, I can't do things in my own room. Oh, I can't do my own things on the dance floor. And you get so jealous and weird. And like, I've never experienced somebody being possessive over me because God was never possessive. The other guy wasn't possessive. I can never remember his name in the actual movie. Rami Yosef's character or whatever. But she's always finding ways to still break free of that. Like she's especially like on the dance floor, she just was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go for it. It's gonna have no inhibitions, nothing. I'm just gonna flail my body
like
around,
a child would do.
My body around." She's not a child here though. She's in her teens, 20s mentally. She reaches 30s on the boat, 40s out in the area. She's technically a 40-year-old woman in at the beginning.
I received this almost because of how she was dancing like a child would see their parents.
Yeah, but that's because you're inhibited in how you move your body.
Right. So that's why I'm making that point, Bleecker, in reference of why I thought the way I thought about them being sort of like almost a child, or not like a kid, but like maybe like 10, 11 years old. You just saw these people dancing. You don't know how to do the dance that they're doing. You just ran up out there and started dancing, which kids do, right? Then Mark Ruffalo being kind of embarrassed like a parent trying to get them, and then said, well, I'm just going to dance with you, which was honestly one of the greatest scenes of the entire movie. But
You know what it reminds me of, kind of?
what?
Phoebe running in Friends. And Rachel having to run with her and being embarrassed, but then she actually tries running that way and is like, I'm gonna run like this all the time. You know what I mean? That.
I hate I know that reference because at one point Friends was playing nonstop on
Listen,
what channel was that? And I had to get into it,
I
and then
just
I
grew
said
up in that era.
I couldn't. I was living single all day, but
I mean, I was both, but like,
yeah, I got
I'm
to Friends
saying.
later in life. I was like, I have to just see the series, just like Seinfeld. Like, let me just see it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then I was like, oh, I see why people like Seinfeld and why they don't
There are
like it.
moments. Yeah, there are moments, and then there's moments. You
Because
know,
Bleeker
like,
understands George Costanza. I hate him with an infinite passion.
he's such a terrible person. They
Terrible
all
person.
are. They all are.
Fire, fire, fire. It's one of the funniest episodes. I mean, push them kids out the way. Like, the smoke, it was 20 feet tall. Like, you're in an apartment, fool. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. That episode was played just a moment ago. Sorry.
Louise, I wouldn't necessarily say she's captivated by anything the male characters do. Gender doesn't have any proximity to her interest at all.
She's experimenting
She
throughout
just
the
is
whole thing.
experimenting everyting.
Because that's what God
And,
used to tell her about.
we'll get to that point later on down the line to
Even,
explain that better.
remember when he was working on bodies, and even she was like, "Can I like touch one of them?"
Yeah,
And
she
the
just
dead
like
one.
wants to experiment with everything
So
because God always taught her to go out, do what feels right in your body, and figure out whether it's good or bad. That was the whole thing. And he had a mental breakdown about every
oh my
single man
God,
she came in contact with. And
so
she was always
embarrassing.
like uncomfortably like, bleh.
Yeah, because in this scene after the dancing, remember people were enamored with her, like, "Oh, we're going somewhere else. Do you want to come?" Just by them asking that, mind you, the man was with another woman, and he just
He
starts
was
to
with his
fight
own
the
wife.
guy. Yeah, it was so weird. Like, what? Yo, watching Mark Ruffalo hit his head against this table was, I was like, oh my God, please tell me that's like a pillow, because that looked like it hurt and it was
I
real.
know. He was like, bam,
Bam, and then
bam.
he take a drink, and then just bam. Well, did you sleep with that one guy that was on the dance floor? Well, no, I didn't sleep with him, but there was the one guy who, oh, I forgot about the tattoo scene.
The inner thighs.
Softer. I didn't know which one it was. He just wanted to show me.
And it just proves like she has her own independence and her own identity, and the point of her is to drive men absolutely crazy. Because men can't handle the fact that she is independent. She's going to do what she wants when she wants to figure out if she likes it or not. And if she likes it, she's going to probably do it again.
Because it was interesting that a lot of the men in this movie, outside of Willem Dafoe's character until the end of it, were basing a lot of their actions on emotions. And then this is something that sort of played into a trope of how men currently now treat women, where they say they're emotional and they always make emotional decisions and men are more logical. It was fun to see this in this opposite perspective because of how Bella herself was learning who she was and wasn't taking life seriously, but also doing everything logically, while meanwhile this guy is acting irrational at every moment, and he's so upset he can't control her. Because he thought, oh, well, she's not really all the way up here. It's fun to mess with her, and I can sleep with her, and I can do what I want. No. As time
and she's like, I'm not a toy. I'm a person.
As time progressed, it did not work out in his favor. And that's when we
Look
get
at
to
that
the boat.
look.
That's when we get to the boat. And he had to trap her into a suitcase to get her on the boat, because she was still at the time able to, be manipulated a little bit. Once she got to the boat, oh, she was pissed. And that's when a lot of light started.
Right out of it.
She said, I don't know if I like this, because he was trying to isolate her and make it about him and her. She found some people on that boat. Game changer. I think that was the big game changer when she found, I forget, was her name Ethel? I forget her name.
You know what? I'm just going to pull up the IMDb so we can have this, because
I only saw it once. This is not like Drag Race where I watched this 5 times in a row.
No, truly.
This is one of those movies I want to go see again, but I'm waiting to come to the home theater.
Mrs. Prim and Harry.
There we go. That's Harry, and then Mrs. Prim was this older woman. And she again was enamored by Bella, and Bella walked up to her and just spoke and was very frank. And she didn't receive Bella like, how dare you? She received her like, how intriguing. And that
She's like,
made
"Oh
Bella
my
feel
God, you have no inhibitions at all. That's
right.
amazing."
She's like, when the last time you had a big O? And she was like, what? Well, it's been a long time. How? She's like, how? Like, anybody help her. That's not a good thing. And she's like, it's okay. When you get older, that's not going to matter. And that made Bella go, really interesting. It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. And then they start to talk. And then this one over here, who's a pessimist, critical thinker.
He's a
Okay.
realist.
The realist.
The realist.
Real is what you feel is real.
That's actually what his role is if you kind of like boil it down.
He very much was the reality check character for her, because every man that was in front of her, well, not everyone, but the ones that she was dealing with recently very much wanted to use her. This guy was like, I don't know if you're able to see what's going on, but let me just show you right now and give you a quick old check. His scene with her, with the broken staircase of poverty to rich, the elite to the non-existent, to those who are not given the same, was one of the most powerful scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and imagery wise shook me. So if they don't win for best art direction, I don't know what to tell you, because I was gagged. And notice how the sky is purple here.
Everybody plays their role too, like very specifically. Like, for example, God very much like was a father and a creator. The first man was like that first love that you have where you're just like, I don't know if there's anything else out there. Maybe there might be. Will he be there and will he not? If he's not, then okay. If you set him free, and then I'm gonna go do my thing. And then you get kind of like swept up in something that may not be healthy. And that's Mark Ruffalo kind of taking her on and trying to mold her and manipulate her into something while he still
He's
can.
the toxic guy that people warn you about, who gaslights you. Oh, because he gaslit the whole movie.
The whole movie. And he's just such a fuck. He's such a baby. He's
You're
a
gonna
baby
do
the
this
whole
to me,
movie.
Bella?
You're gonna do this to me?
You're gonna do this
I
to me?
brought you here.
I've done everything for you. You made me broke. Don't you feel some responsibility? Like, what? Then Harry comes along.
Then Harry's the realist who's like gonna set you straight. He's always gonna be that friend that's like, you look like shit and you know it. And I say that out of love, kind of thing. Like that sort of thing. Mrs. Prim was basically to show her that the future isn't all weighted the same. Like everything is not weighted the same.
Was when we got to Paris, right?
No, Mrs. Prim is the old lady that was with him.
Okay, my bad. I forget who the lady's name with the tattoos was in Paris.
We'll get to her for sure. I have it on the list here.
Please, because that was one of the most insane parts of the movie, but also really entertaining and interesting scenes, because it was like when she really got to who, I guess, where she needed to be mentally. It was almost like her full discovery moment here. I just wanted to show this shot of them directing this scene, and y'all need to understand this is just it was so beautiful.
Like, that's not CGI, that's painted. They painted that set.
Like,
and then they enhanced it.
Like
painted and lit.
Like this color stories here is incredible. As you can see how I showed where they're going from black and white. It starts off with this blue, dark, and sort of like gets us into where we're about to start going, gets the black and white with this full new birth of this individual, to the color of her discovering things and meeting this colorful man who showed her stuff, and it's starting to brighten up. Like Bleecker was saying, the yellows were really used a lot, very pastel colors in this sort of innocence, to then getting into these deep blues and golds and browns and earth tones. I was like, ooh, I'm catching the color story.
Grounded.
Yes.
Purple is for inspiration.
It's a lot. And then the smoke, there's like chimneys in different places in different parts of time throughout the movie that will blow different colors. And that also represents something too. Like there was red smoke coming out of the boat at one point in time, but by the end of it, it was green. And it was like, huh? And I said, I have to pay attention to these things. My friend who I was watching the movie with was like, they keep changing the colors and stuff. This is interesting. I'm like, I know. I wanted to take notes, but I kept just staring at this movie. I did not want to leave my seat. I did not get to go to the bathroom. It's one of those movies you need to pay attention to. If you were to get up and then come back, you may be a little thrown off.
This outfit.
I love this raincoat. It is sickening. This was one of my favorite things. So check this out. After she finds out that there's such thing as poor people, true. After she finds out there's such thing as poor people,
She's been sheltered her whole
the
life.
ghetto struggle and strife is real. She is, what was it, emotional bleaker? Like,
She stepped one foot in East Houston and said, I have to help.
she wouldn't last the second and fifth war, baby. She came on that boat. That man had just won a whole bunch of money from gambling. She got all of his money, all of it, and then gave it away. And she was thinking, because she's still naive, that because she felt some sort of bad thing for somebody in a poor position, that everybody around her could understand and they would also empathize too. No, these two people who worked on the boat were like, oh, we'll give the money, won't we? You know, sailors needed money too. I was like, oh my God, gave them people the money and it's gone.
And
So
then the poor people never get it.
exactly.
And there's this whole commentary about like there's no real middle class in this world. There's these people up in these lavish caviar, champagne restaurants up above everybody, having this beautiful, wealthy life. And then there's nothing in the middle. And then the very, very, very bottom of the mountaintops, you see all of these dying, poor, starving people that are like resorting to cannibalism when people die. Like
that
it's
shot
insane.
was insane. It was this, y'all. I need you to see that scene, because she's having to look over like the edge, and it gives you that hierarchy and this high position of where they're at, and then it slowly pans down to just desolation, destruction, famine, all like these horrible things. You see possibly children who are not here with us. It was very disturbing. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, she got the full picture in just so many ways. And it was eye-opening. And what happened was she got kind of played, but it really was sort of for his character.
Kind of the last straw, really.
Yeah. And
I feel like it was the final thing for her to like snap out of it.
exactly.
Like she officially was like, I understand. I can trust some people, but I can't trust all people. I can set most of my own rules and all of my own boundaries. Like she's learning these things.
My Apple Watch that I was working out right now.
Because you got all heated.
It's still thinking, oh, I finished it. I have a goal.
Also,
thank you.
He should give you the ick. Duncan Wedderburn is the ick. He is the epitome of men who give you the ick.
The umbrella is everything.
The pouty umbrella. He's like upset with her because she's got all pouty and upset. And he's like, you got rid of all of our money. And she's like, don't worry, I'll figure it out.
See, that's the thing too, is that he was already being an ass on the boat. Okay. And so, reminder, people are enamored with those who sort of walk in light. And he walks with a little bit of, I've got this and I know what I'm doing. I got this going on. I'm a rich little something. When they found out that man didn't have no money, they kicked him out so quick, so fast, like bloop, out the door. Now, she's optimistic in this moment because she's like, again, still discovering things, but also in her mind, there's a way. There's a way. Him, you did this. You put us in this position. You're a bitch. Was just calling her every kind of name.
Instead of like blaming yourself for going and gambling and then passing out drunk and leaving somebody with your money.
Who you knew wasn't already capable of understanding everything in the first place.
She didn't understand that she's like going to be taken advantage of.
Probably never talked about the concept of money at all with her, or anything like that, for the fact that she had to see what she just saw.
Knew that she's witnessed him get things for exchange for it.
And she felt, and he was even quoted, "Don't you have the privilege? Those didn't." I'm like, oh, Bella, this is a lot to take in, because I love how she logically was looking at the situation where he was just being so emotional, and she's like, but you're not thinking.
She's like, why should we have so much and they have nothing?
That makes no sense to me. And I'm like, oh, if only you, if this was a reality, oh, like, oh, look at the world now. But she ends up going to a whore. That's how I'm going to say it. A whore.
To meet Swiney.
A whorehouse.
Her name is Swiney, played by Miss Catherine Hunter.
And she meets Swiney, who talks like this with this accent and very much next to what do you mean?
Which is strange because this is supposed to be Paris.
That is true. She was living British, wasn't she? What am I doing? Whoa, okay. She was, right? That was weird. Nothing
But I love
Parisian
it.
about that.
But I love it.
I thought it was good though. She
But
was good.
see,
What did you
this is my whether people like it or not, because yes, there is a lot of sexual moments of the
Lots of small
thing.
penises, honey.
But
Don't
see,
look
there's
forward
a
to anything.
purpose to it. It's
Hmm.
not gratuitous in any way, because in these scenes, you could see that Bella has taken what she has learned from point A all the way up until now to set her own standards, her own practices, and how people treat her body. And she's like, you're going to do one of two things. And if you do those things, then we'll do this. And then if you do this, I'll give you this. And then we could be good, and you're going to be paying me this.
Poor
Like,
Things
there's
is low-key.
never a conversation.
It's low-key the backstory to Wednesday Addams, if y'all didn't know from this picture. Because
Not the Netflix version.
You didn't like it? Sorry. You didn't like it?
You mean, did I like the Pretty Princess version of my favorite character of the 90s? No. No, I didn't like
I
it.
bet you were mad when they weren't often screen, whatever number that was, just so we could. No, I'm just playing.
No.
That's for Wednesday. No.
Anna Ortega, she's amazing.
I know she's a
Even
Libra.
she
We love
walked
her.
in and said that script sucked. So
I mean, we saw it. I liked a little bit of it. I think I was just happy for certain parts, but it was definitely giving me CW meets Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but even.
And nothing against, if you like it, amazing. But I also don't watch Riverdale, so if you like Riverdale, you might like Wednesday.
I hate Riverdale. I don't
I'm just
understand that show.
saying, it's different
Strokes.
different. Shut up.
Rule the world.
Anyway,
I'm sorry. Listen,
but
she learns the power between them legs, which is the truth. But also, I love how boundaries were established.
Look at the window behind her, by the way, of the whorehouse.
I just realized.
Like, have you noticed?
I did not notice that at all. Oh
like
my
all
God.
And so, okay, you can put it on YouTube because they have it on YouTube actively.
Oh my God.
My favorite part about this place is the light switches are clits, which is a technical term. It's a very textbook term. You can't get us on TOS.
Clips. They are clips that we put in our hairs. Yes. That's what I heard.
It's a literal textbook term. You're allowed to use it. And there are phallic windows.
Ah, that's a good word.
Both of the words are both technical.
No, I know. When I hear phallic, it makes me laugh. Like people think penis does, but phallic. Scrotum too. I'm sorry, I get a little giggle from scrotum. It's so funny.
The pillows are shaped like those.
I didn't even notice that. I have to go watch them again.
All of the decor has some sort of shape to it.
I was
like
there's
random pillows that will look like things. There's random doorways, the light switches, the windows, the shape of the furniture.
Bella, tell me you didn't sleep with the bed with the hook arm. Tell me you didn't sleep with that bed.
Because she banished Wedderburn. She's like, nah, I'm done. I'm sick and tired of your shit.
Because she goes and gets money. Okay, so listen, she sleeps with this very strange looking man. Okay, and she gets some money, brings him food, and was like, hey, I think I figured this out. We don't have to do this forever, but I can do this for a little bit and earn some money. And she was thinking about that for him. She even said that the leg was so bad, it made her appreciate him more. Because she's like, that was awful. You might be the person who makes the best sex. He got angry with this and was like, you're low, you're a hole, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to see you. And she's like, really? Okay, well, fuck you then.
I'm gonna go make more money then.
Bitch, I'll go right back to where I was. And then,
one less person to pay for.
And then ends up bonding with some people at this establishment, develops a little rapport with the Brahmin and all that kind of, the matron.
Madam.
Madam, there we go. Matron. Where am I at? Okay, listen.
Matron is like
I
a
knew
mother.
I knew it was well, I mean, they call her mother.
Yeah, no,
She,
literally.
she was biting those babies.
Her little earlobe.
I really hated that scene that I could smell her saliva on her earlobe. It was
But
just
see, she learned not to trust. She's like learning that certain
she
people can
went.
be trusted and others can't.
She went.
She,
I thought you were gonna bite my earlobes.
she's like, oh, it's just a joke.
Oh my
But
god,
like,
it's
can
so
we
funny.
talk about how effortlessly and how beautiful her relationship was with the woman? Please.
Oh yeah, okay. So there was an African woman who was there.
Toinette.
Toinette, there we go. I thought that was cute. Her name was Toinette.
Susie Bemba plays her.
So she's a part of this broth of soup. And they end up having sort of their own beautiful little relationship. And that was kind of an eye-opening moment for her when they saw the C-section scar. And she related because they both had one. But Bella didn't know why she had one, like how she knew she had one. She was always told it was a birth defect. She's like, no, baby, that's a C-section scar. I said,
And I think it's very important to know that now she's been going to her own academics. So instead of having to pay for Wedderburn and all of his gambling addiction, she's paying for her education.
so she can be a
And so she's
scientist.
learning about her body and she's learning about other people's bodies and what's right, wrong, what does what, and all that. So she's now thinking logically about this scar and
Has-
going, wait, you're right.
Has a job as a sex worker, which is there's nothing wrong with that, and is in school, which a lot of people who
Be a
do that exactly. Which people have OnlyFans to pay for med school and this, that, and the other. It was such a beautiful way of showing this through this movie, and I thought it was really empowering because you'll notice, y'all, she is walking fiercely at this point in time. The switch is in. She's no longer giving you this isn't happening.
Her fashion is fully formed now. Like she's a fully formed woman now.
It was so cool to see. And it was like, oh, once Emma got into Paris, that's when I was like, okay, I am full. I mean, the ship was great when they were on the boat, but when we got to Paris, I was like, I am fully in it now.
So good.
Fully in it now. But God gets sick, unfortunately. It's funny, every time we see him in scenes, he talks about how his dad took out an organ. It was like every time.
And it's always some horrific story. And he's like, don't worry, he was a scientist.
Nothing. He was a scientist. He was learning about my body.
It's like, you were abused?
Robbie, are you sure it's okay? Every time. I love that relationship. He was just so like, why does he not care like I do about what he's saying? It's so funny. But
Bella finally finds out about her secret.
Yeah, she comes back and she ends up finding out that, she was somebody else prior to the situation and that the baby that she had, the brain was put in her. And she receives it very well because she understands based off of
logic.
That she ends up realizing through logic too that Rami's character was the best choice for her.
And he was waiting for her all along.
Literally waited for her, let her go out and sleep with the world as she wanted to. You saw how Mark Ruffalo's character was, bitch. That man was mad. He ended up in a loony bin. And I have to say it just like that because that's how they kind of made it look. Like not
no, like he literally was sulking in the corner, loony bin.
Like they had because her fiance, this guy, had to go find her to talk about the father being, sick, to where he found him in a loony bin and was like, oh, you're still after her. You know what she is now. Da 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 da. And he's kind of like, I'm aware. I'm good. Doesn't matter. And he couldn't take that. He could not take the fact that he didn't care. And he said, okay, whatever. And she realized that that was the guy for her because he was going to let her be who she wants to be. And that's
like, I don't really care about your past. I care about who you are as a person. And I've always loved you as a person. And I told you, that I wanted you to go and figure yourself out. And you did. And now you're back. And so
she respected that because
let's get married.
In the beginning, it's like, I need to go see the world. Now that she's seen it, she's like, okay. This was right. I love that. I was like, oh, I thought that was a beautiful scene.
Her circling back, just so cute.
Mm-hmm. Just very beautiful moment. Would you like to? And she also was the one to propose marriage. That was
Mhm.
also a gag. I said, "Come on!"
She's
And
like, "You waited for me this long. Let's just get married. Like, let's do this."
so, not to skip the parts, but I couldn't find pictures specifically here. But before they get married, a new guy enters the scene, which I still don't think they should
Christopher
have
Abbott,
in the movie. The
what was
general.
his name? Alfie.
Alfie, who was a general, a war hero, and all that kind of jazz. You know what I'm saying? And he apparently was married to who Bella was before she jumped.
Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria. And how did we find out? Because Mark Ruffalo's character is a big giant douche nugget and didn't want her to be happy and wanted to ruin everything about her. And came there. And
Found
one of
him.
the funniest scenes, though,
Him
I knew
hiding
something
behind
was
his
wrong.
shoulder. He's over his shoulder like,
I see. I told you. I knew I was gonna get you. I was gonna
it's
get
very
you. It was like
if I can't have her, no one can have her
that.
kind of situation.
So she obliging the situation because it was almost like she knew like
She
this
wanted
wasn't
to
gonna
know her
last.
past at least.
It was like, okay, let me see who this woman was. I'm gonna go with this man. Baby, they rolled up to the house. He said there is an uprising happening with the staff.
And
Okay.
keep saying one worse thing after the next, like red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, talking about how miserable she was pregnant, but she was going to be fine once the baby was born and
And
blah, blah,
he
blah. Like,
forgives her because, that's the point, but he's going to get her sewn shut so that way she can't be promiscuous in her.
hysterectomy and sewn shut.
Because Mark Ruffalo told him, oh, well, she was out there doing all that stuff too. So he was like, okay, well, we'll wrap that up because he thinks it's still Victoria. It's not Victoria.
And the thing
That was
is, like,
crazy.
a lot of people criticize her going, like, I understand why it was there. I just wish it was introduced in a different way. Cause like, I understand why she went. It was the last loose end in her entire life. It's the
But it
one
was
last
kind
thing
of
she didn't have a
quick.
logical answer to.
It was such a swift, like, oh,
But, like,
twist, boom, and then, oh, it's over. Okay, now we're back here again.
and the
It's like,
more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know what I would have cut to make the end longer. You know what I mean? Like, it
yeah,
would have had to have been a 3-hour movie to be able to really feel like it was, like, perfect with a bow. You know what I
because
mean?
I did thoroughly enjoy this film
Yeah,
until that part, and it kept me. I was very confused because I
and
was like,
didn't make it bad, it just slowed the momentum.
yeah. You find out in a way that the person that Victoria was completely a horrible human being. And Bella was the baby that would have been born, but somehow that mind that was created from Victoria and Alfie, which I don't know if he realized that, but you know what I'm saying? That baby's brain is now in this vessel that is his previous wife. It's like getting a second chance, but with a different person, almost in a sense of Bella. And I believe Bella could receive that because of logic. Like, I'm
Well,
not
okay,
Victoria,
it's kinda like
but
if you get, like, a lobe injury of some kind, like, you're not the same
mhm,
person. You may not love your wife the way that you loved them, etcetera, and that
exactly.
happens.
Exactly. And I like that. And it was also her realizing that this man had a plan for her. And she said, okay, we're gonna have to work this out because he's not about to get me, bitch. I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
That he had, what was it, chloroform?
Yeah, he
What was
put
it he had?
chloroform in her martini and was like, "Just drink it. Okay, we're gonna
It,
get this
it,
done."
it shouldn't take you out. You've taken worse. You've drank more than this. I'm like, what? And he was just gonna just drug her, and then that was gonna be that. But she said, no, I don't think so. The gun too, because he was basically saying, if you walk away from this, I'll shoot you, and shot him in
Mhm.
the foot, splashed some of that drink in his face. He was knocked out. Instead of leaving him there to die, she pulled him all the way back to the lab and replaced his brain with the
And the
goat's
help didn't give a shit.
Mind you, there is another version of her or another experiment just like her that's also a woman whose brain was transferred or transplanted over that's happening right now, right? But the movie sort of ends in, Willem Dafoe's character, I'm gonna have to correct myself every time. Willem Dafoe's character passing and Bella sort of taking over the torch, but as her own woman and with all the relationships that she established through her time of growing and developing. It was quite beautiful, to be honest with you, because it was like us watching someone's story and them basically learning the world through their eyes, but in a completely different, twisted kind of fantasy. And the movie was amazing. It was gory at times because of the
Okay,
surgeries.
but
It was, but like,
the
yeah,
best part of the end, though, is the fact that she ended up having a relationship with both the woman she connected with and
and
Rami's character.
yeah, she got to have all of her relationships.
Because they all were like, "I love you, I love you, I love you." Everybody wants to be with each other.
The
Like,
servant wasn't bitter towards them anymore because they enjoyed the other one that was made, but at the same time, she let her be where she was. It was very like it was like Bella realized everything, and because she saw both sides of the world in a sense, she can now fully form her
she
thoughts.
figured life out, man.
Yeah, it was
Figured
great.
life out.
I left very happy. Like I was kind of like this. That was great. I kept saying that. Like that was. I'm glad I sat through that. That was me. I'm glad I sat through that. I'm glad I got through that first 15, 25 minutes. Boy, in black and white, it was boring. But like when we got to color story, I was like, okay, I'm in it. Once Mark Ruffalo was butt naked and slamming and damning some Emma Stone, that's when I was in it. I was like, okay. That's my biblical reference for
Cut the tapes.
slamming and damning. Okay. All right.
Listen, and what we described is the bare minimum of what we could describe in this movie. There's so much more that happens. There's so much more that goes on.
So much
It
more
is
that happens.
so worth seeing it with your own eyes.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
a masterpiece.
Like, especially when you get to the whole house, especially when you get there and this. Okay, first you tell me a joke. No, I'm sorry. First you tell me a story about you, then I tell you a joke, and then if you smell, I'm gonna put some lavender oil on you, and we're gonna make sure.
And then we can do what you want to do. And he was like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, boundaries.
And so she
What
started
work?
learning. I love it.
Because she was telling her, girl, we're women. We have the power. These men want us. Like, why are we doing all this for them? So she said, because the madam was like, no, you gotta be our customers. She said, when I get back behind this door, I'm in control, not her. She has control right now. When I get back here, I got it. I loved it. I was like, okay, this is fabulous in a sense. But also I saw a lot of gross things I never want to see again.
And that's why I want people to realize this isn't just like her helplessly being taken advantage of and her benefiting off of the attention of men. It has nothing to do with that.
It gets once you get to a certain level, you'll start to see when her brain clicks. And then always she challenged every man that was in front of her. Challenged them every time with the question because they would always respond with some emotional nonsense. She's like, well, that wouldn't make any sense. And it would drive them a little bit because it's like she's not backing down. If apples aren't oranges, bitch, then what are we talking about? Okay. It's fruit. Thank you. Can I take this off?
Oh, wow.
Okay. That was a lot. That was a lot. My God. Oh, this arm. Okay, it's still weak.
What a time to be alive with Bella Baxter.
Bella Baxter. Bella Baxter is somebody I would like to know. And they did write her character like that.
I believe that Lily Gladstone is going to win the Oscar, but if she does lose, I think the only person she will lose to is Emma Stone.
It's nice that Fantasia was nominated.
The nominations aren't out for Oscars yet. Voting has begun to get the nominations. SAG Awards.
That's what I forgot.
SAG Awards, I'm in your fucking walls. I'm in your walls.
They gave the honorary Oscar to Angela. That's what I remember saying.
Yeah, Angela Bassett got her Oscar, but it had to be honorary because...
Like, doesn't Tom Cruise have one? That makes more sense. But, like... I'm really upset that she hasn't received it for being a best actress.
Like, okay, do you ever want to get infuriated? Look up the honorary Oscars list because...
Oh, you're going to be hot. There are a lot of great actors. I think Alfred Woodard is on that list.
And most of them are people of
Black
color.
actors. Yeah, very that.
In general, mostly Black, but anybody else that isn't is not
I
white.
think Samuel Jackson also has one
He
too.
just recently got one last year. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I remember they did that whole montage
Here,
of
let's
movies he
see.
was nominated for. Anywho.
Mm,
Well, the strike is over, kids. That's why we're talking about this movie right now.
no, we can
Shoot,
finally do it.
exactly. Meaning our movie passes will be going to good use here. Once upon a time ago, we were trying to do a Barbie review, but couldn't happen. Isn't that crazy? That was July. It is January now.
Hayao Miyazaki is one of the ones that has an honorary Oscar. Miyazaki! He doesn't have an actual Oscar. He has an
One of
honorary.
the greatest visionaries of our time. Shout out to Emroika in the chat. I see you.
Sidney
That is
Poitier,
amazing.
honorary Oscar before he got his actual Oscar.
Shame.
Amazing. Great. Wonderful. Anyways.
Shame.
I'm glad that we can do this. I think we need to do more. I don't know, maybe.
I think a Thursday show seems the most plausible with how the scheduling is going to go in my universe and world. And I'm always down to talk about movies. You all know that's my giggity gig. Hold the Quagmire. I would want to know what movie it is that you want to see next that we could talk about that would be interesting. And it's not Ferrari.
Oh my God, don't get me started.
I don't want to fall asleep.
No, don't go to Ferrari.
I don't want to see the Mean Girls.
Save that for where you can like pause it.
I don't want to see the Mean Girls musical, so I'm just going to tell you now.
I mean, you still got a lot of Oscar stuff to watch.
I will wait till that's on Peacock.
Why do you think everything's gonna be on Peacock?
Because that's where normally, what is this? A Paramount? What, is it Paramount production? Oh, Tina Fey did this. No, that's Paramount Plus. Yeah, that contract with that lady. Tina, you could have done another Mean Girls. You could have wrote a whole new movie. I know you wanted to bring this to the main screen, but I was kind of like,
They purposely marketed it not as a musical, so people are going to see it, saying it's a musical, and then
I've seen the reactions, and folks are like, "What the fuck is this?"
This is why you don't hide the musical, because guess what? The musical kids will go no matter what. If you market it as a musical, like Les Mis was one of the biggest movies of its year. Like,
I find it funny you brought up musicals because I watched 2 episodes of South Park yesterday that give me this energy. It was the High School Musical episode.
I can't stand you.
Like everybody's like on trend with the high school. We're all in this together forever and ever. And they just can't get it. And then when Stan was walking down the hallway talking about Wendy, and then he starts to go, "Oh, someone's in the kitchen inside." I'm sorry, that shit tickles me. Like, why was that how you thought to say? And then, of course, it's slappity, slappity, slap. I'm going to slap you. Come here, son. Slap, slap. And then the other one was the Vampire Kids versus the Evil. Sorry. Oh, I was crying yesterday, y'all. I was just crying over here. They said, where do we send them? That's the most horrible place in the universe. Scottsdale. As someone who lived in Arizona, yes. That is a true statement.
A terrible place to live.
Horrible people live in Scottsdale. If you live in Scottsdale and you felt that was yes, I'm talking about you. I know who you are.
So besides Poor Things, what are your 3 recommendeds that people in the chat should watch?
Recommended from this director themselves?
In general, just in the ones that you've recently watched that you recommend in like the last month.
Okay, so I would say, I know exactly where we could go with this one. There was a movie that came out on Shudder that is filmed in Colombia. It's a horror movie. What is the name of this?
When Evil Lurks?
Yes, When Evil Lurks would be one I would highly recommend if you want something that is very almost unrated horror movie, kind of real effed up sort of spiel. If you want complete chaos and you're not a person who is shaken by a lot of yelling in a movie, I would highly suggest that one. Poor Things, of course, is definitely a recommendation for Sherzies. I also would tell you that Why does everyone tag me in this? I am not this man. Every time y'all see someone light skinned, that is not me. Sorry. I'm like, don't do that. Like, don't do that. Like, I see y'all. Stop.
I can't stand it.
Thank you for thinking of me, but fuck. I gotta do is Cynthia Doll. Fuck. What the fuck? Hold on. I saw something recently. I'm not gonna say a movie. I'm gonna say a TV show. I talked about it, The Bear. If you haven't seen it yet, please do now. And then Saltburn.
Very good.
I saw recently. Saltburn, Poor Things, and When Evil Lurks are the 3 movies for sure. If you haven't seen a TV show you want to binge, Hulu, The Bear. They're not long episodes. There's like an hour-long one for each season. And those are normally like important episodes where they do a lot of character development and storyline and a lot of that. But other than that, they're like 35, 40-minute episodes. You should watch it. It's really good. I have finished the 2nd season. I did. That was insane. Getting trapped in that freezer. I don't want the girl to come back. I don't want Claire to come back, though. I hope Claire's
No one
gone
likes
forever.
Claire.
Fuck Claire. Sorry.
Anyway, so my 3.
Not fuck Claire. If your name is Claire, that was not for you. I love you, Claire. I don't like that Claire. That Claire can eat it.
The Bear Claire.
The bear. Claire Bear. Wow. Oh, boo, no. Claire Bear. Everybody say it.
Anyways, besides Poor Things, I recommend The Iron Claw. I know it seems like a machismo movie. Is not one of the most devastating biopics I've ever seen. It is so incredible. Zac Efron, if you are just being completely obliterated and snubbed in the awards season, like he is the best I've ever seen him do, and it's so emotional and raw. I don't think this one is wide released yet, but All of Us Strangers made me cry harder than I've ever cried in my entire life at a movie in the last like decade. Polite
the movies
Society.
that Bleeker just talked about are playing in Houston if you are out here in the city.
Yes,
so
if you are out in
some
Texas,
major cities
those are
for sure.
there.
Mhm.
And you know what?
Oh, Stephanie, you're in Maricopa County? Girl. You know I lived in Tempe and Ahwatukee, so yes, I know all about it. My bad. Go ahead, Bleak.
No, you're good.
Little desert reading over here.
Polite Society is the last one I'm going to recommend. I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu. It's one of the most fun movies. It's so absurd and so fun. Ferrari was... If you don't know anything about Enzo Ferrari, you're not going to come out of it learning much about Enzo Ferrari.
Dad loved the movie because a long time ago, I'm not lying, put this on God and my mama's grave, my dad was actually a very good stockbroker and had a lot of money. That man owned several Ferraris. I've been in them bitches. I got pictures of me in those cars. My dad had an F40 and had 2 Testarosas. Okay. So like a black Testarossa, a red Testarossa, and a red F40. Bitch, I used to live. So he loved the movie because that was his world. That was the thing to get as a black businessman was a Ferrari, and you were eating hoes up. And I'll tell you this right now about Ferraris in general, like as a person that knows the car, when they break down, when there is something wrong with that car,
it's $1 million gajillion.
My dad, we literally almost lost everything over a car when he had to like let it go because he was like, man, at least $500,000 in damage.
Yeah,
it's like no,
but like with Ferrari, if you're going to see Penelope Cruz clear every single person in the entire film, and I hope that she goes to see her chiropractor regularly because her back has to be hurting from carrying that entire film. The car crashes and the races are really cool, but Adam Driver gives like a quarter of what we know he's capable of, and Shailene Woodley can't find an Italian accent if it fucking stabbed her. right in broad daylight.
So if you got a husband that likes car movies or cars in general, this is the one.
Just know that it's a 2-hour and 10-minute film that feels like Killers of the Flower Moon long, like 3 hours and 45
My
minutes.
dad did tell me it was very dry. He was like, it was very dry. It wasn't that exciting. It was just a lot of history and a lot of acting and a lot of people, it was like personal drama stuff. It was like, oh, okay. He said if I saw House of Gucci, you would feel like you're in the same situation, but a little bit different.
It's the same sort of energy as House of Gucci, where like you see things happen, but you didn't really learn much.
You tried to see how
and the Italian accents are terrible. Shailene Woodley is the Jared Leto, except the opposite direction, where she does nothing instead of way too much.
God, don't get me started on Jared.
Every once in a while, she goes, what are we gonna do? And then, like, that's about it. The rest goes back to American.
It's me, Adam Driver.
No, literally.
Wait,
and when his confirmation comes, what will we do? What are we going to do? Like, that's how she said it. Like, and when his confirmation comes, what do we do?
Wait. Like, why wasn't Chris Pratt called for this? He speaks fluent in Italian. His accent is perfect. One of the biggest movies ever last year, right? No, not Jesus's favorite. No,
I just want voice actors to do voice acting.
I wish they'd hire me as a voice actor.
Like, how are we living in a world where Garfield is voiced by Chris Pratt and not Nick Offerman?
Why isn't Nick Offerman voicing Garfield? That actually would sound, because it's Ron Swanson.
And now, if Chris Pratt were playing John, I'd buy it. If you were playing, don't want him in anything. But I'm saying, what I'm saying is, if I have to deal with him, he should have been John.
You should have been
just John. A regular man.
That should be on a bumper sticker. You should have been John.
You should have been John. And who's playing Nermal? God dang it!
Nobody's special. Listen, watch it be Mindy Kaling.
I'm going to IMDb right now. Stop. Stop it.
I mean, if white men are running the movie, then she's gonna listen. Let me stop.
Who's playing Nermal, please?
If it's Mindy Kaling, I'm gonna pass out.
I think it's gonna be Cecily Strong.
Okay.
Brett Goldstein is in this. Ving Rhames is in this.
Ving Rhames, what are you doing? I know this is work, so happy that you have it, but
Nicholas Hoult is John. What is this cast?
Wait, why is Nicholas Hoult?
Harvey Gillian is Odie? What is this cast? Who's Bowen Yang gonna play?
Liz, watch Bowen Yang be Liz. I love that we know Garfield names and lore perfectly. I didn't have these names for Poor Things, but I know exactly who these people are. That Vin Diesel is Odie.
I can't.
Listen, y'all pay money to go see Fast and Furious, so I don't want to hear anything about anything that Vin Diesel does. Y'all keep those movies alive, and you should let them die many moons ago.
I mean, they're dead now because he killed his career over certain allegations.
Uh-oh. And The Rock does not like the smell of that cooking in his perfect career right now. So
he's back at WWE. What do you mean?
Everyone, this has been a great podcast.
You know what? It has been. I've had a lot of fun. Have you had fun?
Poor Things.
Go see Poor Things.
Go see Poor Things.
It opens in the UK tomorrow.
There will be poor little things in the movie, too. You'll see them dangling between people, but don't be turned off by that because that is not the point of the movie. But my God.
Look at the messages past that.
Because they were definitely hiring. All right, 3 inches or lower, let's go. Like I swear to it. I was like, what? I was like, okay, you didn't give her some variety. That was me. I wanted her to have so many. I was like, because I got into that part. I was like, yes, penis. Did anyone take a bath before this? It doesn't look like it.
I did actually, right before.
The pubics was ooking. Like it was like
I mean,
and they were like
all
in
that ambiguous kind of era.
Like Like, okay, you see this nugget, right? Okay, so let's
Just
just take this
stop. Put the
off.
visual aids down.
Off.
Put the visual.
There it
Don't.
is.
Why are you
That's
using my
it.
chicken McNugget, buddy?
That's it. Look at this. They're just sitting there. Hello, Emma Stone. I want to get inside of you, Bella.
Oh my God! End the stream right now. You can't do any better than what you just did. There's. I'm sorry. We're never gonna stream again. This is the best stream I've ever done, and we'll never be back.
I'm sorry. Hello, Bella. Can you imagine? Oh my God, I'm weak. Oh my goodness. If
Out
the
of
penises were
out of
talking, I would have died.
tufts of pubic hair. It's just
Wait.
wait through your hair.
That's how it looked like too in the movie. It was like they're like, okay, hold on, let me. All right,
It was a bad merkin.
ready to stick it in, Bella. I'm like, oh my God, what is? Like you knew she had like a full, like a good wig by the time someone finished with her and just pulled out. Like my God.
Oh. But you know what?
I love that I had a McNugget.
We all have that one partner where we were like, ooh.
Ooh. When I tell you, I saw little things. My goodness. Woo wee. Okay. All right.
Y'all been great. Thank you for
Man,
joining us.
I can't believe I used the chicken McNugget that way. But you know what?
You know what? I hope everybody took screenshots and video
Hey,
recorded.
all I know is that was tip worthy for both of us here. I hate it.
True. We worked really hard for that bit.
We did. We threw a nugget at you. Sweet or sour. Okay. Oh, well, that's what Bella was saying. Ah! All right. Mostly salty sour. Oh!
It's
All
not
right.
about the size of the nugget, but the power of the dipping sauce.
That's actually a very fucking real statement. It is only barbecue, honey mustard, and sweet and sour for this gal. Okay. Thanks.
No ranch for Matt.
Fuck that. I hate ranch dressing. That's where I get my black card dinged on a few points there when they say, "Oh, you don't do ranch."
Y'all heard it.
Hell no.
He's
Hell
not really
no.
Southern. He doesn't like the ranch.
Ranch is weird. I'll do blue cheese, but I don't do ranch. I hate blue cheese, but I will eat blue cheese over ranch. Something about ranch is traumatic because when they were trying to feed me salads as a kid, my mom would put ranch on it thinking that's going to make him like it and then force feed it to me.
Oh,
Woo!
I get that.
Ruined.
I get that.
It's ruined.
I can't have meatloaf.
Really? Everyone's meatloaf is not the same.
Some people put some weird stuff in their meatloaf.
Yes, I've had one that gave a fruit loaf or whatever, for Christmas, and it was
But
nasty.
growing up poor, that's the easiest and cheapest thing to make is
Maybe get you
meatloaf.
a pound of meat in a loaf pan, and
I feel
some
like it's the
cheese
white
in
version of like spaghetti, you know?
it. Let's put some ketchup on top and then call it a day. But it's so good with the ketchup, y'all. I can't lie. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. I had a barbecue coated one though. Fabulous. Okay, sorry, y'all. We got into food.
We'll be here forever. If
This
we do
is
that.
saucy, satiated situations with Matty Rance and Bleecker. This is the food program. No, I'm just playing.
We will be back with another movie very, very soon.
Yeah, give it. If it's not next Thursday, this will be the following Thursday. We'll try to make this a Thursday sort of afternoon giggy show.
Depends on my poor schedule.
Yes, well, you are closest to the audience. Aha, look at me. So it'll be very helpful in understanding that. But we'll let you know whenever we do this again. It will more than likely be at least maybe twice or 3 times in the month. A fun little time to talk about movies if we're doing either a director's library or an actor and actress's, full amount of work, whatever it will be. We'll get into it with y'all. And also, I'm always down for suggestions. Suggestions, not suggestions. Suggestions. We silent these G's over here. Bleecker, don't be silent. Tell the people where they can find you and support you for you experiencing me today.
Listen, if you want to look at my Venmo, it's there. Oh my God, look, crazy.
Oh shit!
If you want to find me on Twitter, it's BleekerXOX. That's literally including the its. Don't forget that part. If you get a letterboxed, which you should, it's Bleecker, no XO or anything like that at the end.
No, baby, no. Don't forget about us. No, baby, no. Doo-doo.
Hey,
Yeah.
Maddie, where can we find you?
You can find me on the corner of the street. Ooh, trying to sell this pom 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 tickets. And you can find me with my legs open, asking for dollar donations and then some.
Praise.
Sorry. At Matarans, except for Twitter, which is at the Matarans. There's a link tree link in my about section with my Patreon drag queen merch and cameos. I'm done. And that was the song about me, about me.
We'll see you guys on another Thursday.
Hey, yeah, let's do that. Thanks for tuning in. It was a lot. I had a good time. I know Bleecker did too. If you didn't, you don't know what
Why
fun
you
is.
hate fun? Yeah.
Yeah, y'all use that. What's up, Versace? Okay, it's not real. I'm broke. Okay, thanks for tuning. We're broke. Thank you for tuning in. Two broke folks. Yeah, because we won't say Thanks for tuning in. I gotta go. I'm starting to run into my rambles. I'll see y'all tomorrow for Canada's Drag Race and the rest of the Drag Race multiverse. See you then.
Team Mirage.
Come on, clap. Now the heel can clap.
Clack the clog.
Yeah, we can't say that the soul can clap. It's now the heel can clap. I'm trying to pull up my legs. Okay, bye y'all.
Listen. Yeah.